In order to support our essay writing, and in particular the in-class essay that we have coming up, I'm going to demonstrate how to write an introductory paragraph for a standard 5-paragraph essay. So most essays that you'll encounter in university classes will follow this type of a structure. You need an introductory paragraph, then you're going to have at least 3 main body paragraphs, and then a conclusion. But the most important part is always to start strong with a clear and well-structured introduction paragraph. So first we should address what the components are of a introductory paragraph that will be powerful, compelling, and hopefully establish the proper format for your entire following development of ideas. We always start with a hook sentence. The purpose is to draw the reader in with a powerful or insightful idea that acts as a hook. Next, you'll have 2 to 3, not 2 to 23, but 2 to 3 background sentences. They should give some context to the topic you'll be advancing. However, we do not want them to be your best ideas. So you do want these background sentences to be relevant. They need to be connected or provide some context, provide some of the history or background of what you're writing about. But they shouldn't be something that you would want to include later in one of your main body paragraphs. Finally, the all-important thesis statement. And the thesis statement clearly sets your position. It composes of 2 core parts. There's what I like to call the thesis punch, and that should kind of directly state what you're going to argue or what you're going to be trying to convince the reader of, or what your analytical position is, and then a guiding list that gives a roadmap of the main body paragraphs. And I usually write that in a shorter version as MBPs. Okay, wonderful. So those are the components that we're looking at. Now we're going to jump right in, and I'm going to just try to write from scratch. We're going to stay on topic. We've been doing our article reading on the issue of old growth forests in British Columbia and the logging industry. Those are kind of twin hydra-headed parts of the dragon we've been looking at here, and I'm going to try to develop a example of what an introductory paragraph might look like for this. So again, I'm going to start with my hook sentence. So I've gone with a kind of a phrase of wisdom, a general phrase of wisdom. It originally comes from, I heard it at first from the movie Rounders, but the saying itself is a much older maxim that comes from pioneer times. And the statement goes to say that you can shear a sheep 100 times, but you can only skin it once. And then tries to make the connection that clear cutting BC's old growth forests is killing the sheep. So now I'm going to try to develop those background sentences. So you're trying to frame the situation with a little bit more information. You don't want to include too many facts, stats, or data at this point in time. We're going to save that type of information for the main body paragraphs. And whenever we do include stats or facts or data, we should have supporting citations to prove that they're valid. So in these background sentences, you're starting to kind of narrow down the view. You're giving information, but you're narrowing down the view towards your thesis statement. So if we look now, we can see that I have actually, so another thing that's important to note is that when you are writing essays for APA format, which we will always be using the APA format in our documentation, you need a title at the top. Okay, good. So we've got our title, and this is just a working title. Again, during our first draft, we're not married to any of the ideas at this point in time. We're just kind of dating the ideas. We can always change them, revise them, remove them, or add new ideas. So let's see, how are we doing here? We've got 1, 2, 3 background sentences. So we're ready for our thesis statement. So now remember, you start with your punch, and that's basically positioning yourself for the rest of the essay. What are you going to argue, or what are you going to try to defend or promote or advance, however you want to say it. And then you need your guiding list as well. So now we've kind of got our punch, our statement of position, and now I have to think about what are the 3 topics that will help me to develop that idea, and essentially what are the 3 areas that need discussion to really consider this topic in a wise and logical manner that we can still support from the sources that we've got at our disposal. So remember, we've got those 3 CBC, or those 3 news articles that were titled old growth forest and the logging industry round 2 and round 3. Then we've also got the report that I uploaded that was mentioned in that first article. And so from those 4 kind of primary sources, what can we develop? What can we build? And what can we do in terms of categorizing that into 3 main kind of subtopics, if you would. So I'm just going to need to think about it for a second. Okay, so there we go. That is a fairly strong first draft of an introductory paragraph. And if we just grab a quick look here, let's take a look. We go to Tools, and we want to see how many words we ended up with. So it ended up being around 168 words, which is a fairly good starting point. So we could put down word count here. I always like to just kind of add this so students kind of know. And the range, the acceptable range for the in-class essay that we have in front of us would be anywhere from, I'd say, around 145 up to 225. If you're within that window, you're in the sweet spot. Alrighty, I will also create a PDF of this file, and I will add that to our growing, oh, that's a spelling issue, I guess, or just a version of the word issue. They're called homonyms when they sound the same, but they're spelled differently. Alrighty, so shear and shear. Shear is the act of cutting the hair off a sheep without taking off its skin, right? S-H-E-A-R, versus shear, S-H-E-E-R, which means, as another word for meaning steep. Anyways, that's just my nature of being a bit of a nerd towards words, a word nerd, I guess you could call me. Anyways, I will upload the PDF document, and you can look at it more carefully and evaluate how I got to this point by looking at the document beside the video. Wonderful work. Good luck.